These monsters talked big and played a dangerous game.
I'm gonna be able to hit that jaw all night. I didn't know his jaw was that big. You don't got a hell of a chance in the ring and out the ring.
But the humble ones served up a bitter pie. Because size means nothing when your talk is loud and your actions are small. And these mighty colossals learned humility the hard way.
Not at all.
These are the times cocky giants learned brutal lessons in respect.
Oh my goodness!
This is fighting as art. Let's go. We'll start the list with Julius the Towering Inferno Long, a 7'1" behemoth with an insane 91-inch reach. But despite his size, his career was more simmering than sizzle. In March 2019, Long met a true fire starter in Hemi the Heat Ahio, a compact and ferocious heavyweight from New Zealand, with a backstory as tough as his chin. After surviving a brutal stabbing at a bus stop, Ahio turned his trauma into power, earning the nickname Tongan Tyson. And with his relentless aggression and short stature, he looked more like a cruiserweight than a heavyweight, until the bell rang. Long, ever the showman, tried to clown his much smaller opponent at the face-off, saying that he was the real deal.
You gotta bring the heat to me. You know, shit, you gotta bring the heat. I'm the GOAT, I'm the fighter.
The heat wasn't about theatrics, and he let his fists speak. From the opening round, Ahio darted in and out like an 80s Tyson reboot, bullying the giant in the clinch, slipping under jabs, and tagging him with sneaky uppercuts.
The key factor out of Julius Long's 18 wins is 14 cuts.
Drop any heavyweight in the division, and of course...
Long boxed like he was allergic to his own reach advantage, a 91-inch blessing wasted on jabs with the impact of a feather duster.
Long looking to frame with that right hand, and from southpaw position, now left hand. Again, very square, staying in that southpaw position.
As the rounds wore on, Ahio found his groove, slipping shots, cutting angles, and slowly turning the giant into a walking target.
Stabala's in ringside, heavy blows.
The accuracy approach coming forward. I think Julius Long will be...
In round 7, the tide turned volcanic as Ahio's big left hooks crashed in like lava bursts, rattling the Goliath and melting his defenses with every shot. And finally, Ahio landed the nuke of a left that sent Long toppling like a collapsing tree, crashing down in a heap of shattered pride.
10 seconds to go in the round. Here we go. He's down. He's down. He's chocolate tree. The towel is coming.
Bad boy Badr Hari was a cocky monster in his heyday, and while he had the last laugh more often than not, there were also times when he paid the price for his bad temper. In a fiery backstage brawl with Peter Graham, the Moroccan let his fists fly recklessly in a backstage brawl that set the tone for a night that would go down in kickboxing chaos. Inside the ring, it wasn't just a fight, but a war between two bulls, colliding head-on with raw fury and no intention of taking a single step back.
Боец очень мускулатный Badr Hari.
In round 2, Hari's leather started writing punishment across Graham's face. Punch after punch, he began to look like a man walking into a storm.
Разворот, точенные края. Буквально может срезать твоего соперника Hari.
But just when the bad boy thought he was breaking the Aussie, Peter Graham unleashed rolling thunder and shook the very ground beneath him. In round 3, lightning struck twice as a brutal spinning hook kick erased Badr Hari's smile, and maybe his ego, from existence.
И попадает! Попадает Питер Грэм! Невероятно! Невероятно! Он...
Ravkco Tarnagiev looked like a villain written by someone who only had access to protein powder and bad tattoos. A hulking slab of inked-up arrogance, he strutted toward the cage like he'd already won the fight. But posing wasn't enough. Adan Cabayel needed theatrics. In a ridiculous act of forced intimidation, he reached for Aitor Gaspar's throat, like a budget WWE villain trying to sell fear with zero believability. That smug face followed him into the cage like a bad decision, and just like most bad decisions, it didn't take long to blow up in his face. But when the bell rang, karma clocked in early, and it didn't come to negotiate. What followed was pure poetic justice, as the walking ego got dragged back to reality. It was the kind of knockout that doesn't just drop your body, but ejects your self-belief, erases your bravado, and leaves you staring at the lights. In 2023, Street Beef's founder Chris Wilmore, aka Scarface, faced something no father wants to deal with. His son, Justice, became the target of a savage 9-on-1 beatdown instigated by a cocky giant.
Last weekend, my son, Justice, there's going to be videos of his face, or pictures, we got pictures of it, posted interview. He got jumped. He got jumped by 9 people.
But instead of crying to the cops or venting online, Wilmore did what fighters do. He threw out a challenge and invited one of the main attackers to step into the cage. The bully, clearly overdosing on ego, took the bait, and he started strong, managing to hold his own against the first opponent, aka your typical level 1 tutorial boss. But level 2 wasn't so forgiving. The ring turned into a blender as the bully got battered, bloodied, and reminded that respect isn't optional.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
The real punishment was still loading, however.
8, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2.
When Wilmore himself stepped in, it turned into a father's hands-on masterclass in humility, a beatdown wrapped in life lessons and delivered with veteran precision. Once the beatdown ended and the cocky giant was humbled, Wilmore offered the man respect, a handshake, and a shot at redemption.
Everybody that's involved to shake his fucking hand. He came in here like a man. Madness, I know you're a dog, but come here. Let's go. Come here, Madness. He came in here like a fucking man. He came in like a man and took his licks. Showing love.
In 2008, Kuriel Sidelnikov, Fedor Amelanenko's protege and a cold-blooded finisher, came in fighting with supreme confidence, but his opponent, a 275-pound slab of Slovakian concrete named Martin Soltysik, had more spice, and he gave his foe a piece of it with a sucker punch to start the fight.
But you already figured that out. Soltysik in the black with the white.
The cocky block of beef kept tagging Fedor's student with heavy shots, swinging like he had something to prove.
Check coming out like a fireball. Big strikes.
Huge right.
But Soltysik's fury soon met a terrible end, when Kuriel landed a laser-straight right hand, and the big man collapsed like a barbell after a failed deadlift.
Not at all.
Oh! Big right hands punch, and that's it. Stopping the fight.
It was fast, brutal, and exactly what you'd expect when a Fedor disciple has his master in his corner. Pure devastation. Rats come in all shapes and sizes, but the bigger their ego, the harder they fall. Russia's Magomed Ravkco strutted into the cage with the confidence of a man who'd never been humbled. But Tony Johnson was about to change that. Ironically, it all started with handshakes and fake smiles, as if it was the calm before the storm. That civility shattered the moment Ravkco realized he couldn't win a war of words, resorting to arrogance as a defense mechanism. Inside the cage, the Russians started strong, landing with sniper-like accuracy and trying to bully his way to dominance.
Огромном количестве битв и умеет выжидать. Тычок глаз.
But karma doesn't send calendar invites, and when it arrived, it crashed down on Ravkco like a collapsing empire.
Неплохо, по-прежнему чувствует дистанцию.
И такого Сони не упустит, скорее всего. Один, другой, третий, четвертый удар. Виктор Корнилов.
Tony Johnson served the cocky Russian a heaping dose of humility, proving that loud mouths and sharp jabs don't guarantee victory, especially when justice hits harder. In 2023, the mighty Russian Arslanbek Makhmudov swaggered into his bout with the undefeated Adan Cabayel like a warlord marching into territory he already claimed.
Close me and this guy in one room, they're not gonna be surviving me. I go eat this. Anyone. I know that.
But what he didn't know was that pride comes with a price, and Cabayel showed up like a debt collector, ready to make him pay in full. From the opening bell, the German wrecking machine tore through Makhmudov's guard with nuclear right-left combos, slicing him up like a hot knife through butter. By round 4, the Russian powerhouse looked broken, his confidence was leaking, his aura fading, and every breath exposing the cracks in his once unstoppable image.
Right, but he's looking for it.
Cannot miss. Cannot miss. Great shot. The body shot again.
The body shot, and down goes Makhmudov.
The Russian managed to stay on his feet, but his fire was fading fast, and his legs wobbling like jelly.
Nothing left but a desperate swing for glory. And it's the body shots again that Cabayel is going for. And down again.
Cabayel, ruthless and clinical, ended the fairy tale with a merciless barrage, sending Makhmudov into the void and shattering the myth.
Takes a huge lungful of breath. Does he step forward now to finish the job? That's enough, says referee Steve.
The cocky king walked in wearing a crown of arrogance and left with a shattered ego, dethroned by the very humility he once mocked. The boxing showdown between MMA veteran Alexander Amelanenko and Russian powerlifter Mikhail Koklaev was less technical showcase and more viral oddity, but it somehow worked. At the face-off, the mountain-sized Koklaev tried to spark drama by tossing his cap at Amelanenko like he was in a WWE promo. But intimidation only works when you can actually back it up. And what followed was a harsh reminder that brute strength doesn't translate to boxing IQ. The powerlifter came in wild, swinging like a wrecking ball with no steering wheel. For a brief moment, it looked like chaos might actually give Amelanenko trouble. But experience is a cruel teacher, and one sharp, clean right hand was all it took to send Koklaev face first to the canvas. No drama, no do-overs, just the cold realization that no matter how much you bench, it means nothing when the fists start flying and the fight gets real. Popek Monster versus Robert Bernika. In May 2017, Polish MMA fighter Popek Monster stepped into the cage against Lithuanian bodybuilder Robert Bernika, a man with biceps the size of an average human and confidence to match. Bernika, better known for lifting weights than throwing punches, strutted through the weigh-in, flaunting his mass like it was a guaranteed victory ticket. But once the bell rang, the swagger faded, and reality came swinging fast and hard. Bernika came out with raw aggression, throwing heavy hands powered by pure muscle. But what he had in size, he sorely lacked in fight IQ, speed, and conditioning. Within seconds, Bernika learned that he wasn't in his gym, where he hit the weights without taking anything back. In just 45 seconds, Popek bulldozed Bernika with a flurry of punches that wiped away every ounce of the bodybuilder's bravado and left nothing but regret on the canvas. The fight ended the way most muscle versus skill matches do, with the bigger man flat on the canvas and the fighter standing over him. In the fight game, opportunists crawl out like roaches when the lights are low, and few scurried quite as shamelessly as Bob Sapp. A hulking mountain of artificial strength and theatrics, Sapp built his legacy on smoke, mirrors, and hand-picked victims usually half his size. Forever hunting mismatches, Sapp eventually turned his gaze to Mariusz Pujinowski, a man known more for pulling airplanes than throwing combinations. Before the bout, Sapp went full WWE villain, releasing a video mocking the Polish strongman and suggesting he'd fold him like a paper doll.
You hit like a girl.
But when the cage door locked, reality hit like a barbell to the face. From the opening second, Pujinowski dragged Sapp through hell, ragdolling him like a warm-up set. Then came the mount, and with it, a brutal beatdown that echoed through the cage, each fist landing like a final verdict. Sapp, exposed and powerless, turned into a living heavy bag, absorbing clean punishment with no escape, no defense, and no dignity. The fraud had finally met someone who didn't buy the act and smashed it into pieces with fists that spoke louder than any hype ever could. At the end of 2015, the African giant Andrew Thompson was matched with an exotic and unusually round opponent in the form of Ismail Lazar. From the face-off alone, Thompson literally looked down on his high-calorie prey, smirking like a man about to enjoy a buffet. And right after the bell, he tried to start the feast with a surprising low kick, aimed straight at the chubby guy's head. Lazar was clearly hungry for more than just respect, and with one explosive burst, he flipped the script by turning the hunter into the hunted. The chubby dude didn't just respond. He launched a relentless offensive that turned the ring into a torture chamber for the stunned giant. The 6'3" heavyweight Monty Two Guns Barrett came into his clash with Shane Cameron, armed with nothing but noise and Shakespearean swagger.
I'm gonna be able to hit that jaw all night. I didn't know his jaw was that big. You don't got a hell of a chance in the ring and out the time. I wrote a poem about this fight. Extra, extra, read all about it. Shane fight me is like a door scratching off a flea. It's gonna be easy.
But for all the sonnets he spit, Barrett's fists spoke in broken rhythm as his punches lacked the power to match his prose, falling flat like a monologue with no soul.
And look for Monty Barrett to switch from an orthodox leather.
Cameron, however, wasn't here for the drama, and his gloves delivered the real script, each punch a line of poetry dipped in venom. In a devastating climax, Cameron landed a knockout blow so clean it could have ended a trilogy. Barrett dropped like the curtain on a failed play, and just like that, the loudmouth soliloquy met its silent end.
Champion Monty Barrett. Shane Cameron.
Giant fighters often bank on size to dominate, and Tomasz Czerwinski walked in like a walking skyscraper, fully expecting his sheer mass to do the talking. But across from him stood Catalin Morasanu, a man known not for height, but for heart, speed, and devastating power. From the opening exchanges, it was clear Morasanu wasn't intimidated. He stayed sharp, slipping past Czerwinski's slow-motion swings and lighting him up with crisp counters. The massive Tomasz looked less like a fighter and more like a heavy bag on stilts, as Morasanu tagged him repeatedly with precision and bad intentions.
Describe this fight as they're going to...
And just when the giant started realizing he was in deep waters, Morasanu dropped the hammer and a sniper-like right hand that detonated on Tomasz's jaw and sent him free-falling into the abyss.
It's down to come in. 2 minutes left and Ravkco, top K1 names.
It was the kind of knockout that proves muscle alone won't save you, especially when your opponent fights like a buzzsaw. Tomasz walked in looking like a titan, but left like a cautionary tale. What this proves is simple. No matter how big, ripped, or cocky you are, all it takes is one well-placed shot to turn ego into dust. Because in the end, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog that decides who walks out and who gets carried out. So these were the times when cocky giants learned brutal lessons in respect. Which beatdown was the most satisfying lesson in humility? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the chaos, smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a fight that ends with karma in the driver's seat. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.